Hello guys, how are you? I am back. I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving weekend. And although every time I do one of those greetings, what if somebody's watching this video in the middle of summer next year? Then it's a little weird. Anyhow, so over the Thanksgiving weekend, I received a guitar. And those of you who follow my Facebook, little jabbering there, I took a delivery of this guitar that I'm going to talk about at that time. Basically, I found a guitar that I've been wanting, and I found it on eBay. Put a bid in, strategically put my bid in at the right time so that I could get it, and I did get the guitar. By the way, this right here, I don't know if you can see, is a list of guitars that I want. This is a list of amps that I want. So I've been crossing them off as I go. So the guitar I got, I won the auction for $270. Now this guitar, when it was selling brand new, it basically went for $1,000. Since then, this model has been discontinued because the artist who endorses this guitar has moved on to a different manufacturer. So $270 is obviously a great price for a guitar of this magnitude. Now the auction did have the pictures of the guitar. By the way, I'm purposely not holding the guitar because I'm going to do some close-up shots for you guys. So it had descriptions and pictures, and I could see that the guitar had issues, right? Because you could see the tip of the guitar had a bit of an issue. The description by the seller also said it has some bumps and bruises and whatever. I knew I wasn't getting a dead mint guitar, and that was okay, and that reflects the price as well. Now here's the problem. I have bought plenty of guitars in the past, sight unseen, off eBay, just relying on the seller's honest description and the pictures representing the guitar. And then if I had questions about certain areas of the guitar, I always ask for like a high resolution picture to the seller so that I could see it in detail before I commit to that guitar. And like if I buy a used guitar from Craigslist, I would go take a look at it. And I've walked away from a couple of guitars because it just wasn't to my liking. And those of you who know my collection, the most fucked up looking guitar that I've bought would be the ESP LTD Alexi Laiho 600. You guys remember it has the resin that has now bonded to the finish of the body, where basically no chemical known to man would take that off. Glue off, gasoline, WD-40, I've tried everything. It's not coming off because it's not a sticker residue. Anyhow, so that is the most fucked up looking guitar, but that was okay with me too because I only paid $150. I looked at it, was worth $150, I offered $150, and that's what I got it for. I'm totally happy with that. Besides that little blemish, that guitar is in overall general acceptable condition. I love that guitar. So this one here, I knew I wasn't getting a really mint guitar. I knew it had a problem, but here's the problem. When it arrived, it had issues that was not disclosed by the seller at the time of sale. Now since then, I have reached out to this seller, and I wasn't asking for a refund. I wasn't asking him, look, I need to send this guitar back, because the condition of the auction was no return accepted. And I bid on the guitar knowing that there wasn't going to be a return acceptable, and that was okay, assuming the guitar was in the condition the person described. So bumps and bruises, a little issue on the lower wing. It's a V-shaped guitar, so I was okay. Now when I opened it out of the box, it had a lot more issues. So I will show you what the guitar is. So a lot of you know that I grew up with 80s metal, but not categorized as hair metal would be I grew up with Metallica, Megadeth. You know, back in mid 80s and late 80s when I grew up in South Korea, those bands and those records were illegal to import. So basically the labels and record companies representing the counterparts of US companies out in Korea, they couldn't import those records in because of the explicit lyric and the overall image or what have you. So I used to part-time work at a record shop, and like I was 15, and the owner, I asked the owner to bootleg import the LPs, the records, vinyls from Japan, and I would sit there after my shift and I would make, you know, copies onto cassette tape and I would listen to. That's how I got exposed to metal. So from my collection, you guys can immediately identify that James Hetfield is one of my heroes, as much as Dave Mustaine. So, you know, I have Dean VMNT V, which I got at a screaming deal from Guitar Center. And my last video also showed the Dean Zero Dave Mustaine model, Angel of Death 2, the Explorer shape, which is sitting right there. Before Dean, Dave was with what company? That's right, ESP. So for 2-3 years that he was with ESP, he basically had the V and another model called the Action, which to me is an atrocious looking guitar. But the V, basically offshoot of a Jackson King V that he used to play for many years before he decided to jump ship to ESP. So when he moved over to ESP, now I'm going to show you the guitar. When he moved over to ESP, he asked the guitar to be basically, you know, very similar dimension to the Jackson King V that he's very familiar with, but because of the potential lawsuit, ESP quite couldn't do everything the way Dave wanted. Hence, the relationship didn't last very long, and he bolted to Dean, and Dean was very happy to accommodate whatever the fuck Dave wanted. And here we are today. So I've been wanting the ESP LTD model of Dave Mustaine V for a very long time. Because back when this guitar was available as a brand new guitar years ago, I wasn't as into guitar collecting. It was just one of those guitars I wish I could have, but then I just kind of didn't foresee myself owning one. So since my collection started to grow or whatnot, I kind of revisited, and it's a guitar that I've been wanting for a long time. And in the general LA area where I live, couple DV-8 model, it's called the DV-8, have been available last couple months, and I try to strike a deal with the sellers or whatever, and these were in really good condition. But I couldn't come to agreeable deal with these people, so I couldn't get that. But I saw this guitar on eBay, and for the price, you know, I couldn't pass on it, even with the issues that were disclosed. I didn't know that it had other issues, but let's talk about that. So again, $270 for a ESP LTD, mahogany body, mahogany neck, rosewood fretboard, jumbo frets, 24 frets, right? 15, 17, yeah, 24 frets, DV-8. Here we go. So there is the headstock. You can see LTD, Dave Mustaine, model number on the truss rod cover. The 8-ball inlay on the first fret, right there. Actually, the fretboard is in really good shape. String through body and the V, and there's like a little beveling right here, and Spurzl locking tuner. Okay, so that's the guitar, and let's talk a little bit more about this guitar. So out of factory, the guitar came with a Seymour Duncan JB and Jazz, but the seller at one point ripped out the bridge pickup and replaced with the Seymour Duncan Super Distortion pickup. Now, that even though it's a turnoff that the guitar was not in the original spec, because back then Dave was using that combo. This is before the live wire active pickup set that he's using now. So it was the passive pickups, the JB and the Jazz combo that he was using. But so that was a bit of a turn off, but also at the same time I was a bit intrigued due to the fact that none of my guitars have the super distortion pickup. And I believe that's the same pickup Gus G used to use before he started to whore out the Duncan Firewind, the signature pickup set that he's promoting right now. So more on that later. This video, I'm not playing this guitar. It's really late at night. My kids are sleeping, so I can't really plug this in. Based on the serial number, it looks like it's a 2004 model. And back then, I don't know what the specs were, but I believe that was the spec. So I am now going to show you what the problem is. Oh, by the way, I don't think the Dean VMNT, the current model, has the belly cutout right here, the contour, but this one does. So as my belly grows with more beer that I drink, you know, it helps. Anyhow, so I'm going to show you what the problems are. So I knew that it would have bumps and bruises and little dents here and there. That was okay. Now, and this lower wing, the seller did disclose that this was cracked. I don't know if the camera is picking it up, but right there. So I knew it had a problem. Now, what I didn't know was the piece was actually completely fallen off and the guy actually glued it back on, and he never said that in the description. Now, what I also didn't see, and I try to talk to the guy and try and reason with him, look, you know, you kind of conned me, you weren't very honest in your description, and the guy's being a real, I don't want to say jerk, but he's basically a type of eBay seller that one should never do business with. But look at this top wing. This was never shown in any of the pictures that he had or in the description at all. Actually, it's a pretty decent sized chunk that's just gone. I recognize that V-shaped guitars would get bumped into doorways or whatever and, you know, have these type of problems. That's acceptable. What's not acceptable is a seller to not be 100% honest and try to hide behind a general blanket statement saying, hey, I said it had general bumps and bruises. No, that's not how that shit works. So that's one of the problems. And although it's not visible right now, basically this tone knob right here, it had this problem where you could turn and it would just keep turning. Same, reverse, it would just keep turning. So when I decided to keep the guitar, I ripped out the strings and I had to open up the cavity and everything to securely tighten this down, so now it's okay. And here's another minor problem, but you know, it is something that bugged me, is the bridge pickup was actually set so low. It was about 1/4 inch below the level of the pickup ring cover. So, I mean, if the pickup is sitting that low, I mean, you're not really getting the correct tone out of your string vibration and everything. And I had to adjust the neck pickup height as well. So, you know, all those things. And that's why it made me a bit unhappy. You know, I'm totally okay paying a little bit more for this guitar if it was in a better condition or what have you. Because the Dead Mint ones that were available in the LA area, which I missed on, those were selling for $500 with a hard case. So, you know, whatever. It's not my only guitar. It's okay that it has some issues. I'm not hung up on it. It's a damn fine guitar, set aside from the cracks. By the way, let this be a lesson to you. Always pay extra attention when you buy a guitar sight unseen from eBay. Check the guy's reputation and all that. Another lesson, V guitars, get a stand. Don't lay it, you know, don't have it sit on its wings on the floor like this, because eventually it's going to get fucked. Even on a carpeted area, you just want to take good care of your guitars. You don't want to be one of these jerks that just toss it around and eventually have, you know, the tips all cut up and issues or whatnot. So anyhow, so this is that guitar. So I will do another video later on where I'm comparing this to the VMNT, the Dean model that you can buy today from a store, and we'll see how that stacks up, right? Although it wouldn't be a fair comparison because the pickup sets are different, and even this guitar is not in its original spec, so that's an issue. But we'll do one anyways because I know you guys will probably want to know. Set aside from that, guys, the guitar hangs great. I mean, all of you know that I'm a huge ESP LTD whore, and this guitar, I believe it's. Here's another thing. Even though the brand name is different, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it's actually made at the same factory in Korea where they make the Deans, the modern day Deans. So the craftsmanship and all that is just, spot on, really well built. Love the headstock. The locking tuners are awesome. It's too early to have an Irvana nut. It's a just regular nut, but it seems to be fine. Another reason why the guitar was okay for me to keep was the fretboard is mint condition. The frets are in decent shape. Neck is straight. It just, and my love to the fact that I love Dave Mustaine Megadeth so much, also obviously helps. But anyhow, so that's the newest guitar I picked up. I believe this is guitar number 52. All right, so there's that guitar. Here's a surprise gear that I'm going to show you. So a lot of questions that I get, a lot of jokey questions that I get is, aren't you afraid someone will come and try to steal your guitars? Well, yeah, but I mean, if somebody normally people break into people's homes because there are other valuables. I'm not sure if anybody's going to come in and try to lug so many guitars or whatnot, but if you are thinking about something like that, you need to think again before you do such thing, because this is keeping my family safe. This is Colt M4 Spec Op semi-automatic rifle. So if I see an intruder in the house, basically this is what you'll be encountering. By the way, magazine's empty, the chamber is empty. It's on safe, so there's no risk of this firearm being mishandled right now. Always practice safe firearm shooting. Anyhow, so I have the Picatinny rail system right here, which I'll be accessorizing with a scope, red laser, and a flashlight with a compressor. Only problem is California state law dictates that you cannot, as a civilian, you cannot own a magazine that accepts more than 10 rounds. So this is just 10 round rifle. And the gun snobs will argue that the 22 ammo, long rifle ammo will not be deadly enough. However, in a close range in this environment, because it's not like I'm going out to hunt a wild boar or anything. 10 shots to the center of the mass with a high velocity round will be fatal to any intruder. So think before you decide to come to my house. Of course, I'm joking a little bit, but this was something that I picked up because I enjoy shooting and I want to have a rifle of my own when I go to shooting range, and this will be that rifle. So there you go. Surprise gear. With the collapsible headstock. It comes with a sight system just out of the box. Very well made. It's metal, and it's engineered and supposedly made in Germany, but I don't know if that's true. At this price point, I just can't see that being true. But anyhow, so there you go. Looks the part, huh? And I was chatting with somebody in England, and his question was, hey, does every American own a firearm? Well, every American should have a right to defend his own family, right? So there you go. That's my new video. I'm going to cut this one right here. I will upload. You guys can take a look. I'm actually going to shoot another video right after this, which I'll be asking you a bunch of questions for my next video because I want to know how to handle that one. Anyhow, so until next time, you guys all take care. Thanks for watching.